That's the view from Stoffel Vandoorne, who will be lining up 7th on the grid, the championship leader. So keep an eye on the second silver Mercedes EQ. At the end of this race, we'll be at the halfway point of the 8th season of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. Mortara on pole, Robin Freitz alongside him on the front row of the grid. All 5 lights are on, and we go green in Berlin. Charging down towards the first corner, and Freitz might get overtaken here by Nyck de Vries. De Vries goes for the lead. De Vries sends it, and from 3rd position, he forces his way past Eduardo Mortara. A mega start from the reigning champion, and De Vries in the Mercedes EQ gets to the lead. Mortara in 2nd, Freitz is still in 3rd, although the Porsche of Andre Lotterer is looking up the inside. Everybody safely around the first 2 corners. What a start from De Vries. He got his elbows out there.
Yeah, brilliant move by Nyck de Vries there. Bit of contact, Stoffel Vandoorne.
That's
making
Vandoorne
contact with Verne, I think.
Yeah, Verne and Evans, those two all fighting each other, and they're all looking to the inside to try and make an overtake, not able to do so. Turvey looking racy on the inside there, and has just taken 2 places, I think. Turvey getting ahead of Gunter involved in that fight as well. You can see there Cassidy has a 10-second stop and go penalty for a technical infringement after changing his powertrain. But De Vries took the lead, Mortara in 2nd, Freitz in 3rd, 4th is Lotterer, 5th is De Grassi, 6th is Da Costa, but De Vries forced the issue there, no doubt about that.
Yeah, Mortara gave him just about enough space. There was a little bit of side-on-side contact, nothing wrong with that, and it really properly aggressive, wasn't it? De Vries was, he made his mind up that he was coming and not going to back out of that.
So 3rd to 1st at the first corner for the Mercedes EQ of Nyck de Vries. He is leading the way. Vandoorne, Verne and Evans still in 7th, 8th and 9th, but here are the top 4. De Vries, Mortara, Freitz, Lotterer. Right behind them is Lucas Di Grassi in the black Rocket Venturi, the teammate to the 2nd place driver, Eduardo Mortara, and the pole sitter, Eduardo Mortara. As they now come through the right-hander of turn 5. Mortara's got looked like he got quite a good run out of 5 and managed to keep it nice and tight. Here they come down towards turn 6 and 7. This is a tricky corner because it goes to the left and then goes to the right. So overtaking is a little bit tricky, and De Vries is holding the lead at the moment. But Mortara looks a little bit like he wants to get back to the front. He managed the race beautifully yesterday from the front, so that seems to be where he wants to be.
Well, he's got speed and he's got pace. He's now got to show some patience as well, because I think at this stage, he's just got to be smart. Being in the slipstream behind De Vries will allow him to save some energy. And at the moment, we get this phase, don't we? Where everyone starts, the order sort of settles down at the end of the opening lap, as we see Alexander Sims having a look around the outside of Jake Dennis briefly. But the order settles here while they all try and stabilize their energy consumptions after the first lap. Then we start to get into the attack mode strategies.
Here we go, driver's eye with Robin Freitz, the camera inside the Dutchman's helmet. We come right now through turn 4 and down towards turn 5.
Watch for the red light flashing. As soon as you see that, that means the drivers are recovering energy. They're harvesting energy, putting it back into the battery. When you get a static red light, like we're seeing now on Mortara's car, that means they're using the energy to move forward.
Top 3 breaking away a smidge from Lotterer in 4th place. Here's a look at the start and watch the 3rd place Mercedes EQ of Nyck de Vries. His start was decent. He got up the inside of front. I don't know if he was going for the lead or if he just ended up having to go for it.
No, Mortara braked really early. I think Mortara was looking at Freitz, because you could see he initially moved to the left, then moved to the right. I don't think he realized De Vries was that close. He was just, yeah, we should get a good view of the rear. Watch. So we're on board Andre Lotterer, who's starting forward. We'll look in front, and De Vries there to our right. Look at Mortara, he's gone left, there he moves right. So I think he was slightly caught unawares by just how close and how committed De Vries was on the brakes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Lotterer going side by side with De Grassi and Da Costa down into the first corner, almost getting through on Robin Freitz as well. But here are the race leaders: De Vries, Mortara, Freitz, Lotterer, the top 4. Further back, you've got Oliver Turvey there, who got him into 13th place off the start, having begun the race in 13th as well, so lost a bit of ground and then regained some ground as they come into turn 6 and 7. De Vries leading, Mortara in 2nd. The green and blue Envision car is in third position at the moment. There's a little bit of shuffling there on the transponders, but that is still the order. De Vries, Mortara, Freins, and then Lotterer. Now, in this race, there is just one attack mode for 8 minutes. So that's going to be different strategically compared to yesterday. But here come the top 5. At the moment, the top 3 in the championship are running 7th, 8th and 9th. There is Van Dorn in 7th. There is Jean-Eric Vergne in the black and gold DS Techeetah in 8th. And right behind them is the Jaguar of Mitch Evans. They're 1st, 2nd, 3rd in the standings, and they are looking to make progress up the order to try and catch Mortara and Freins, who are trying to close their advantage at the top of the championship.
So having this 8 minutes of attack mode as a single block is really interesting, because if you go too early, then you've somewhat given up your advantage. See, Sete Camara's done straight away. I mean, he's further down the order, so he's got nothing to lose. But if you're one of the front runners and you go too early with that and you use up the benefit of that extra power, if we get a late safety car and things like that, you negate any advantage you gain. So I think they've all got to be a little bit patient with how they play that, really, at the moment.
You can see positions gained. 2 places made for De Vries, 4 made for Jake Dennis. The biggest loser, Antonio Giovinazzi. After his best qualifying session, he ended up sliding down to 21st position. This is Evans on the back of Vergne over 8th position, and Vergne is falling back a little from Stoffel Van Dorn ahead. There's a little bit of a gap forming there as everybody watches the action at turn 2 in hospitality. Flashing over the curb cam. Got to love a curb cam. And we've got 38.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, so now they're coming on turn 5. Nobody seemingly going for attack mode on this lap. De Vries cutting that hole through the air. This is benefiting Mortara. He's just banking energy. He can back off earlier. He's got less drag while following. There's a little bit of a stalemate at this stage of the race. Evans now tucked up behind Jean-Eric Vergne. He's got Roland behind. I mean, this is a great corner, isn't it? And you can see that's our cameraman Glenn there doing his 16,000 steps that man did yesterday with that camera going back and forth. So it's a big shout out to him, because there's a lot of walking in the hot sun pushing that camera around.
37 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Across the line they come. Nyck de Vries leading the way for Mercedes EQ, reigning champion after wrapping up the title here in Berlin last year. But Eduardo Mortara is right with him. Robin Freins in the green Envision car there too, in 3rd spot. No one is particularly putting anyone else under pressure. Vergne is dropping away in 8th place, but we've seen that before, well, yesterday in fact, where cars would drop away from the lead pack, but would be able to sort of come back a little and rejoin the fight. Giovinazzi is 15 seconds off the back of the pack, Giovinazzi. So he must have had a problem or something. His last lap was a 1:13.
Yeah, he must have done. I mean, that's way off, isn't it? So he must have gone off somewhere. Sete Camara is making a bit of progress, isn't he? Using his attack mode. He's up into 16th at the moment, so he's gained, I think, 3 spots with that. It obviously gets shuffled out once the others start using theirs, but he's got to make hay quite quickly. He's committed to this strategy of going early.
Fastest lap of the race for Nyck de Vries. Pulls his gap to Eduardo Mortara up to ½ a second. It's getting quite close behind Robin Freins with Lotterer and De Grassi. We're on board now with Freins coming into the hairpin at turn 2.
What's quite good when you're following in the train, right? You can see when the others are lifting and when they're harvesting.
Okay, Nick, we're a bit low on charge. Can the bop go later?
So they're basically telling Nyck de Vries he needs to start saving energy, and that's what I was about to say. He doesn't have that reference. He's not able to see anyone in front as a guide, whereas everyone in the train can judge what they're doing relative to other cars, as we see that is that Sete Camara?
Yeah, it is.
Making a move on Max Gunther here, so he's using that attack mode, gain another spot as Evans alongside Vergne.
Into turn 7, and Evans gets ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne. Vergne really dropping back here, because look at the ground he's lost to the car in front, which is Stoffel Van Dorn. He was then pretty wide coming out of turn 5, and now looks under pressure. Look, there's the top 7. Then quite a big gap back now to then Evans, and then Vergne. And Vergne might be under pressure here from Oliver Rowland in the Mahindra. Rowland to the inside. and he's through. So Jean-Eric Vergne falling backwards quite dramatically in these early stages.
It doesn't seem to have. It just doesn't seem to have any pace, does he?
No.
You know, it's just can't see any obvious problem from the outside of that car, but there's clearly not much he can do in terms of defence at the moment.
No, his teammate Antonio Felix da Costa is in 6th place right now for DS Techeetah. De Vries activates attack mode. So Nick De Vries from the lead of the race activates his attack mode and drops down now to 3rd position. You get a 13% power boost for 8 minutes and you get 1 usage in the race. So Mortara and Freitz go through into the lead, and then Nick De Vries, the 3rd car in this queue here, in the silver Mercedes EQ, he is now in attack mode. So he's decided to go early compared to those around him.
And Da Costa and Vandoorne have gone for it as well. And the reason they did that is, as you mentioned earlier, Jack, Evans, the gap between Evans and that group had opened up, as we're seeing Di Grassi now going for a move down the inside. That's a good move on Lotterer. So Di Grassi now makes another place up.
Here's a look at Jean-Eric Vergne and how Mitch Evans that was the lock-up into turn 1 that really allowed Evans to close in quite a lot, and then he made the move a little bit later on in the lap. So De Vries now in 3rd, but he's soon going to be on the back, and Freitz goes for it. Freitz activates attack mode, as does Andre Lotterer. So Lotterer is going to come out side by side with the Mercedes of Vandoorne, keeps out the way nicely, and now he's going to try and get past Da Costa straight away as they go for it into turn 5, and Robin Freitz missed attack mode. Robin Freitz tried to activate attack mode, didn't get it, and so is now in 4th place, but not in attack mode. A disaster that for Robin Freitz. That's the kind of mistake that cost Vandoorne victory in the opening race of the season.
Yeah, that's a crucial error there. He's given a track position to Di Grassi and De Vries as well, who is coming very close to Edo Mortara. This could be the move for the lead here. He's going to hold off on this lap, wait perhaps for the back straight or maybe the run to turn 5. What is Mortara going to do? That's a big question. He's quite good at the moment because he's basically not. Here we go. Here's the replay.
Okay, focus is on the energy.
Looked like
focus on the energy.
Much in it. Must have been right at the end. Must have been right at the end that he missed the final detection point. Here comes De Vries. Focus on the energy. We're happy to follow, but he decides no. I'm going to the lead, and Nick De Vries takes the lead of the Berlin E-Prix back away from Eduardo Mortara. Di Grassi now up into 3rd, Freitz in 4th.
Evans has gone for attack mode on that lap. I think De Vries and Mortara made a little bit of contact actually as he made the move.
Yeah.
I saw Mortara just touching the diffuser, the rear bit of bodywork on De Vries' car. I don't think there's any harm, any damage, so they're on their way. So what do Venturi do here? Because, you know, Freitz has made a mistake, so we know he's got to do it again, as we see Da Costa make the move on Freitz. When do Venturi go for it? That's the key question now.
And when does Freitz go for it again? And is he sort of out of the running? Because he's been shuffled down into 5th now by this man, Antonio Felix da Costa. Da Costa's in attack mode, so he's going to be able to attack Di Grassi and Mortara fairly imminently. Here comes De Vries, the race leader. Is Mortara going to go for it this time around? Here we come down towards turn 5. No, he doesn't. Nor does Di Grassi, nor does nobody. So everybody who hasn't taken it decides not to. Oliver Rowland does in the Mahindra. But yeah, Mortara and Di Grassi now sort of seemingly playing a bit of a longer game, let's say.
The field is really spread out, hasn't it? Behind Vandoorne, where very unusually seeing pretty big gaps between Vandoorne, Evans, Rowland and Vergne.
Yeah, well, they all sort of dropped back from after Vergne was going sort of slowly, and that kind of bulked or held up the rest of the pack. Now, there you can see the attack modes remaining, and here you can see Andre Lotterer going ahead of Robin Freitz in attack mode. So Mortara, Di Grassi and Freitz, the 3 drivers who are front runners, who are yet to activate their attack mode. Lotterer now up into 5th place. Freitz drops down into 6th position as they come through the hairpin of turn 2. And De Vries' lead is 1.2 seconds up at the front at the moment. As they come flashing down into turn 5 again. and Da Costa. Oh, there was a move further back, and that is now Van Doorn getting ahead of Robin Freitz. And this is very good for Van Doorn, that there is that big gap back to Evans in 8th and Vergne in 10th, and he, meanwhile, has joined the lead pack, and Da Costa goes second. Antonio Felix Da Costa up into second place in the DS Techeetah. And he is in attack mode now, and will be trying to close in on Nick de Vries if he can. Half an hour plus 1 lap to go. Nick de Vries leading, Da Costa now in second. Here comes Lotterer to try and get ahead of Di Grassi. So the Venturis are going to be losing places here, but presumably they're playing a long game to get the places back.
Yeah, they're going for an offset, aren't they? They're waiting to see what happens to everybody else. We see now Van Doorn making the move on Di Grassi. I think the Venturis are waiting for all of their rivals to run out of attack mode, and then they'll go for it. They've got their cars in the train, they've got their cars close enough to the others that they'll be able to capitalize on it later on. I think they're just going to ride it out for a couple more laps. Well, having said that, we got Di Grassi and Freitz to go for it, but I think with Mortara they are going to just ride it out to see when the first two in front run out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Freitz had a gap. We've got 29 minutes plus 1 lap to go in round 8 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. This is a replay of Sebastian Buemi. Oh, trying to get past Oliver Turvey, coming into 7. Turvey's feeding him towards the wall. There's enough space, sort of, but then there's not, and Turvey gets poked around a little bit. They are fighting over 17th place, and Buemi did get ahead in the end. But this is race leader Nick de Vries for Mercedes EQ. Second is Da Costa. Third is Eduardo Mortara there. Behind him is Andre Lotterer in 4th position. Stoffel Vandoorne, the championship leader, is 3rd in this little queue, and that Mercedes EQ man has climbed up the field, having started in 8th. He's now got up to 5th, and he's going to be chasing down Lotterer, and Mortara takes attack mode now. So Mortara activates his attack mode. Does he have the gap? Yes, he does. So we'll see now. Mortara's going to have 8 minutes, basically. Well, he's going to have 7 minutes extra compared to De Vries and Da Costa to try and charge back through and retake the lead.
Yeah, that's enough of an offset, isn't it? The top 9 are all still in attack mode. De Vries and Da Costa into their last minutes, as is Van Doorn. So Mortara now. So we'll see as he comes down the start-finish straight. We'll get an understanding of the gaps, and you know, that'll start to paint the picture as these guys run out of their attack mode. So at the moment, Mortara is about 5 seconds off the lead. That's the time that he's got to make up using this attack mode.
Yeah, that's going to be the challenge for Eduardo Mortara, and how quickly can he get past the cars around him. Let's go down to the pit lane. Nicky Shields. Okay, interesting. So use the attack mode a little bit later than those around him, and then try and have more energy at the end as well, because he has been probably conserving a little more energy in the early stages. The other DS Techeetah of Antonio Felix Da Costa is in 2nd place, and he's going to be under pressure from Lotterer soon, although Lotterer only has 30 seconds of attack mode left. De Vries' lead is 1.2 seconds at the head of the field, then it's 1.5 seconds back to Da Costa, and then, 1.5 seconds from Da Costa to Lotterer, and then it's Stoffel Vandoorne in the number 5 silver Mercedes EQ, and right behind them is Lucas Di Grassi. Last 10 seconds of attack mode here for Lotterer, and he's got Vandoorne right behind him into turn 5. Now heading down towards 6 and 7. Vandoorne about 7/10 of a second back from Lotterer as he hits the brakes and comes into turn 7. De Vries leading, Da Costa second, and here is now Eduardo Mortara in 5th place. He's in attack mode. He's got 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So he's basically got 5 laps to close in what is now 3.9 seconds. It was 5 seconds a moment ago. So the progress is starting to be made.
Lap -1, but we underconsume, and lap -1, but we underconsume.
And there comes Van Doorn on Lotterer. So Van Doorn gets ahead of Andre Lotterer and up into 3rd place. Lap -1, but we underconsume, says the radio to Mortara. So I wonder if they think the race is going to be a lap shorter, but they don't want to spend all their energy because of that. Or save it for later even.
Yeah, basically that's what they're saying. They're saying, so all the drivers have a target that they set on their steering wheels of the number of laps they think the race will be, because obviously it's run to time, 45 minutes plus 1 lap, and then depending on the pace of the race, that will get adjusted. So they've had to adjust it back at Mercedes by 1 lap from what they expected it to be, and that lap distance, or the number of laps, tells the driver how much energy to use per lap. So you have to constantly watch that target as you're driving around. 5 drivers have been awarded the fan boost. De Vries, De Coster, Van Doorn, Lotterer and Jean-Eric Vergne all will get a power boost up to 250 kilowatts in the second half of the race. They'll get to go full power for a few seconds. And here comes Mortara now, up into 4th position. He's got ahead of Andre Lotterer. No, sorry, that's De Grassi. That's De Grassi getting ahead of Lotterer now, and De Grassi is up into 5th place, and this is Freitz trying to make the move on Lotterer, which he manages to do. He's got 2.5 minutes left in attack mode, so Lotterer's the one slipping back a little here, down to 7th place, having started 4th on the grid, but Mortara now has 3.5 minutes to close in 3 seconds. So he is taking about a second a lap, or about a second a minute, out of the race leaders. Stoffel Van Doorn is going to be the next driver that he'll try and get past, and he is able to get past, coming down into turn 6 and 7. So this is looking really doable for De Coster to try and catch Nick De Vries. How hard does De Vries push to try and keep ahead, but in turn will use energy? So yeah, we're looking, De Coster's holding Mortara back through that final sector of the lap, and Mortara should now easily get past him down this start-finish straight. I say that, but De Coster's covered the inside line, so it actually didn't happen as he's expected. Oh, there's a lot of defense going on behind Van Doorn and De Grassi. De Grassi's got attack mode. Van Doorn manages to cover him off, and will he hold him again at turn 2? De Grassi goes for a lunge,
sends the dummy and makes the move. De Grassi into 4th position now. So Lucas De Grassi up into 4th place, and he will chase down Mortara. Mortara is right behind De Coster here. Needs to make this move as quickly as possible, Mortara, if he's got a chance of catching up. Oh, so late on the brakes. And there goes Freitz. Freitz goes through on Van Doorn as well. So Van Doorn shuffled back down to 6th position. Here comes Mortara on De Coster. Coming into turn 7, Mortara's into 2nd place. And he's got 2 minutes to try and close in on Nick De Vries while he's in attack mode. 22 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Round 8 of the Formula E World Championship. He's got a bit more energy as well, and more energy than De Coster, so Mortara is sitting in a pleasant position currently.
Yeah, he's in good shape, isn't he? So this is now the key point of the race here for Mortara. How much inroad can he make in this next lap and a half as De Grassi's gone past De Coster in his last minute of attack mode? Freins is going to be the next one who's lining De Coster up as they head down to turn 2. De Coster holds off the inside line. Freins now, can he do a switch back? Can he try and get past as they get to turn 5? Mortara, in the meantime, I can tell you, has gained another half second on De Vries. So he is, I don't think he's going to get De Vries, you know. Freins goes for the move.
Freins sends it into 5. And just as he was running out of attack mode, he manages to get ahead of Antonio Felix Da Costa. Those two faced off against each other in the duels. Da Costa right behind Freins now as they come down into turn 6 and 7. And Freins holds the place. So he's now back up into 4th position. Mortara, 50 seconds left, so basically just a little under 1 more lap remaining in attack mode. There he goes, the Mercedes of Nick De Vries, followed by Eduardo Mortara. Here they come. De Vries, Mortara. A little gap back then to De Grassi, the number 11 car. Freins is going to be trying to close in on De Grassi. De Grassi's done a good job, actually, to be up into 3rd place currently, having started in 6th spot, but here's Mortara on the charge. I think you're right, though. I think the gap's going to be too large.
I think it's too big there. 1.7 seconds as they cross the line. I think Mortara might just run out of it. By the way, that doesn't mean that it's done and dusted.
Absolutely.
It just means he's not going to have the advantage of extra power to catch him. He's going to have to do it on level pegging, as is the case now. So 1.4 seconds, the gap. De Vries over Mortara. De Vries has driven a great race so far. Used the attack mode wisely, found the gap, and has built the lead that he needed after that tremendously aggressive first corner.
Oliver Askew has gained 6 places in the race so far. 4 places gained for Sebastian Buemi, 8 gained for Pascal Wehrlein. So he's carving through the field pretty nicely, although as I say that, he just loses out to Jake Dennis, who's in a sort of late attack mode phase, but he's 4.5 seconds back from Jean-Eric Vergne. Those are the 5 drivers that still have fan boost to use. So Mortara out of attack mode now. The gap is 1.8 seconds to De Vries in front. Can he close that in the remaining 19 minutes of this E-Prix? Lucas Di Grassi is 3rd. Van Doorn and Da Costa wheel to wheel. Da Costa gets the drive coming up to turn 3. But Van Doorn looked like he sent that one. Lotterer 7th, Rowland up into 8th. Evans 9th, Vergne 10th. 19 minutes plus 1 lap to go. De Vries leading. Mortara 2nd. Di Grassi 3rd. Franz in 4th. And then it's this fight between Van Doorn, there, the championship leader, and Da Costa in front. Van Doorn's looking in a nice position as far as the championship is concerned, because Evans is 9th, Vergne is 10th, Mortara's not winning, Franz has slipped to 4th.
Yeah, but Mortara is going to gain a chunk of points still, though, isn't he? If you, you know, if you look at it, if they finish where they are, which who knows, but you know, at the moment Mortara is going to get 18. Van Doorn's getting 8, is it?
Yeah.
So that gap will be down to 6 points heading to Jakarta. So he does, I think, Van Doorn need to get a bit of a move on here.
Happy with the current pace and consumption. Doing a good job.
Albert Lau is happy with what Nick De Vries is doing out front. 2.2 seconds ahead of Eduardo Mortara in the lead of the E-Prix.
And this is the Nick De Vries that's been missing from that Mercedes lineup, really, for the last few races, isn't it? This is the Nick De Vries that won the championship last year, got out in front, sets the pace, hits his target. The gap he's extended on the last lap, again by 3/10 over Mortara. And this is much more reminiscent of what won him the championship last year.
Yeah, since he won the opening race of the season in Diriyah, he's not had a better result than 6th, and then 3 10th place finishes. Now this was Stoffel Van Doorn into 2. Quite lucky that Da Costa saw it coming, to be honest, because it was quite the lunge from Van Doorn. I'm here for it, don't get me wrong, but got away with that one. They're all a little bit queued up behind Robin Franz, whose gap to Di Grassi has gone up to 1 second. And then at the back of the queue is Oliver Rowland. We're on board with Da Costa here. In 5th place. Wide line in. Really close to the back of Franz. Turn 3. And right at 4.
Here we go.
Oh, not quite. I thought the same. He certainly thought about it, didn't he, Da Costa? The tricky part is trying to overtake down into this left-right is tricky. Da Costa's on fan boost, though. This could be the opportunity. Da Costa uses his fan boost, but he's on the outside, coming into 6 and 7. Gets it done. Da Costa up into 4th position in the DS Techeetah. Franz down to 5th.
That was an important move there, because I think Franz is struggling for pace, and Da Costa needed to clear him quite quickly. We'll see now what pace has that DS Techeetah got with Franz, and Franz is going to be under pressure from Van Doorn, who's also got fan boost. So does he use his to get past Franz as well?
Well, he might just send it. Also sending it, unsurprisingly, is Oliver Rowland as he goes past Andre Lotterer. So Lotterer and the Porsche team slipping back quite a bit. Franz has been passed by Van Doorn then, so Da Costa is 4th, Van Doorn is 5th, Franz is 6th, Rowland is now 7th, and Lotterer is now down to 8th place. Evans and Vergne are just kind of nowhere, really. Evans is 4 seconds away from the rest of this pack. Verne is 3 seconds off there, and then it's 3 seconds from Verne back to Dennis. There's energy remaining. France is in a reasonable place. Race leader is Nick de Vries, slightly, well, about the same as Mortara in second. De Grassi there in third. Black and gold, Diaz-Techeetah is Da Costa in fourth place. Vandoorne is in fifth, and that is Oliver Rowland, who has now climbed up into seventh place. 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go.
The field is much more spread out today, and
Yeah.
I think some of that is because these hotter temperatures are affecting some cars more than others, both in terms of energy usage, in terms of battery temperatures, and in terms of the tyre wear. We are seeing a slightly bigger spread, and I think Frijns there, being that stop at the bottle, has kind of allowed De Grassi and Mortara off the hook a little bit.
Sam Bird is the only driver yet to activate attack mode, down in 15th position at the moment. You can see that those that were right at the back have got more usable energy remaining, but up at the front it's all fairly similar. Maybe France has a smidgen more than those around. France running in sixth. Oh, and there's the move from Vandoorne. Vandoorne attacks Da Costa, and Vandoorne is now up into fourth position. You told him to get a move on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because you got the Mercedes powertrains running first, second, third, and fourth. You know, those four cars, you're presumably running very similar strategies in terms of energy usage and in terms of the software. Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence they're running 1, 2, 3, 4, is it?
Absolutely not. It kind of feels like Diriyah again, doesn't it? Where in the opening race of the season, where Mercedes and Venturi were so strong. They're leading the way here in Berlin.
Yeah, Da Costa.
Race is now option B. Option B. Let's use this free space.
Oliver Rowland getting ahead of Robin Frijns. So Rowland doing a good job and up into sixth place to the satisfaction of Dilbag Gill. So that was Stephen Lane telling Vandoorne, this race is now option B. Obviously, you don't know what that means, but were you to hypothesize?
I wonder if it's a bit like we heard Albert Lau telling De Vries that the race is 1 lap shorter. Maybe they're taking a little while longer to tell Vandoorne that, listen, the race is a bit shorter. So when he said use that space you've got, I think they're saying use a bit more energy, pick up the pace a bit and close the gap. We'll see.
There's a lot of important people here this weekend from Porsche, and they've got a huge amount of hospitality around here, and that is Lotterer running in 8th. 13 minutes plus 1 lap to go. De Vries, Mortara, De Grassi, Vandoorne and Da Costa in the top 5. Rowland there in 6th position. This is comfortably the best Mahindra performance we've seen all season, I have to say. Rowland's best result until now was an 8th place finish, so to be up in 6th is a solid effort from Rowland after starting 10th on the grid. On board with Andre Lotterer in the Porsche. Coming into 5.
It's funny, isn't it? As the weekends unfolded, Porsche haven't looked as strong as we saw them earlier in the, earlier on. There was a point where we thought they were going to be clearly the best two, 1-2, but Wehrlein is a bit nowhere at the moment. P12 out of the points. Lotterer stuck a little bit, and in the end, it's actually the Mercedes EQ cars or powertrains that have come to the fore.
Now, as it stands, Stoffel Vandoorne would lead the championship on 106 points. Eduardo Mortara would be 7 points behind and up into second in the championship standings. Jean-Eric Verne would be third, 12 points off Vandoorne at the top. Evans fourth, Frijns still in fifth, and Nick de Vries would be up into sixth in the standings. So still 11 minutes plus a lap to go, but that's how it would affect the championship. Mortara, after a superb weekend here, would be up into second place in the championship. The gap is 2.7 seconds up at the front. Rowland's gained 4 places, Frijns has dropped 5. Lotterer trying to chase down Robin Frijns for that 7th position. You can see De Grassi maybe and Da Costa have a little less energy. Frijns maybe has a little more energy than those around, so you wonder whether they're being a little conservative and think maybe that the race will be a little bit longer, or haven't yet started to use up that energy as early as some of the other cars have. But Rowland is now right on the back of Da Costa. 5th and 6th over the line down towards turn 1.
Yeah, Frijns is slipping back, isn't he? He's got Lotre now about to have a go as we're riding on board with Oliver Rowland. He wasn't close enough, but Lotre did seem like he was quite close to Frijns just behind us. Rowland looking down his dashboard, making a little switch on the steering wheel. Here we go. Frijns having to defend now to hold Lotre back as they got very close there on the exit of the turn 2. Hairpin through the fast corners, going left and then right to 3 and 4. Is Lotre going to have a lunge into 5? Thinks the better of it.
9.5 minutes plus a lap to go. Fight over 7th position. Lotre can see those getting away in front. There's Mortara in 2nd, De Grassi 3rd, Van Dorn in 5th, then Da Costa and Rowland right together. Both got similar amounts of energy remaining. De Vries looking fairly comfortable on energy up at the front as well. Sam Bird has now finally activated his attack mode and gets ahead of Sebastian Buemi, but he's got a long way to the points. He's got to find 10 seconds to catch Jean-Eric Vergne, who's there in 10th place. That's Thomas Chevauchet, the team principal of DS Techeetah that we just saw in the box down there. And comes down now into turn 2. Rowland very late on the brakes. Frijns has managed to hold off a little bit more. There's Antonio Giovinazzi running at the back of the order, on his way to be getting lapped potentially by Nyck de Vries. Mortara is 2nd.
Okay, Nick, we're happy with the current pace and consumption. Everything's looking good.
How often do you want to be hearing that as a driver? Because that's the second time we've heard Albert Lau mention that. I think it seems to come out of nowhere. Just every lap. Yep, we're happy.
Yeah, I think a bit of, because it's quite a lonely existence out on the race car. It's really, you know what you're doing, and you know what pace and energy consumption you're doing, but you have no idea what other people on the grid are doing. So it's just quite reassuring to know that you're hitting your targets, and also other people around you aren't doing something extraordinary that's going to catch you out later on the race.
Eduardo Mortara, 2nd in the race. This result would move him to 2nd in the championship. Comes through the right-hander of turn 4, now down towards turn 5. And it's pretty close behind still, with Rowland and Da Costa. They're right together still, with 7 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock here. Does Rowland fancy it? He does. Rowland sends the dummy and gets around the outside. Very nice move from Oliver Rowland, and he makes it up into 5th position now. Really impressive drive this from the Mahindra man. Vergne used his fan boost to get right up to the back of Evans, but not quite close enough to make the move. So he used fan boost, and no, he has got him. Vergne gets ahead of Evans then for 9th position. That's the championship as it stands, although Vergne's overtake will slightly shift that, but only by a couple of points. Van Dorn will lead, and he will be 9 points ahead of Eduardo Mortara if it finishes like this at lap 34. And there is Evans now behind Jean-Eric Vergne. Only a couple of points swing that. 2 points for 9th place, 1 point for 10th place, as Vergne and Evans continue to fight. And Nyck de Vries using his fan boost to just use it, probably, because he's got a big enough advantage at the lead of this Berlin E-Prix. Eduardo Mortara is 2nd, 2.5 seconds back, then it's 2.2 seconds back to De Grassi, 1.2 seconds to Van Dorn, 2.5 back to Rowland, and we are with Robin Frijns, who's going to be the next driver to try and get ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa. I'm surprised at the lack of pace that DS Techeetah have at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not happening for them today, is it? As Van Dorn is he using his fan boost at the moment? Yeah, he is. So he's, how far is he? He's 1.1 behind De Grassi. 5 minutes plus a lap. So it's going to be about 6 laps, isn't it? To the end of this race. Yeah, he's in with a chance here, Vandoorne, of another podium. He's not far off de Grassi. He's just chipped away and chipped away. And quite soon he's going to be in his slipstream.
This is what happened with Mitch Evans and Jean-Eric Vergne. Evans using his fan boost into 7 and then making the move stick. Right, so here is Stoffel Vandoorne, 4th place at the moment in the silver Mercedes EQ there, just going through shot. And he is starting to close in more and more, as Karun was saying, on Lucas de Grassi, who's lying in 3rd place. Then it's Roland da Costa France altogether. They've all dropped Andre Lotterer fairly comfortably, but it's 5.5 seconds from Vergne back to Lotterer, or other way around, from Lotterer back to Vergne, so that's not really going to be a threat. But this is going to be the fight in the closing stages for the final podium position. 3rd place Lucas de Grassi, and 4th place Stoffel Vandoorne. As he looks to gain another few points, it would be another 3 points, because he would get 15 instead of 12.
0.5% more than Lucas, 0.5% more.
That's good news. That's what you want to hear as a driver who's hunting someone else down. On the last lap, Vandoorne took half a second out of de Grassi, so he's right there, isn't he? He's in a great spot, just keeping an eye on de Grassi. That suddenly being in that slipstream will just make Vandoorne much more efficient. He'll be able to come off the gas earlier, coast for longer. That's got a feeling of inevitability around it, hasn't it, Vandoorne and de Grassi now?
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw no added time in this race, because no virtual safety cars or full course yellows, same as yesterday. France has still got a little more energy than those around him too, but here comes the fight for 3rd place. We're on board with Stoffel Vandoorne. 4th position, championship leader. De Grassi is going to defend this one. Wants to get that double podium for the Venturi team. But Vandoorne's going to get a great drive out of turn 1, off turn 1 and down towards 2, but de Grassi's going to be a tough man to pass here, I think.
Well, when is he not?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Lucas, he's very good at getting his elbows out, but you can see he's got 1% less energy. So Vandoorne might need to just play the patient game a little bit here. Oh, he's gone for it.
And de Grassi turns in, and Vandoorne has snuck up the inside. Bit of contact, I think you heard, but Vandoorne has made the move into 3rd place. He's caught de Grassi a little unawares. Is de Grassi going to come back at him, though? Coming down into 6 and 7. Not this time round. So Vandoorne gets up into 3rd spot. Very nice little move, that, because I don't think de Grassi was expecting it.
No, he's not. As yeah, he tried to put a squeeze on him there, but Vandoorne was having none of it and just carried on, heading straight for that apex. Managed to get the car stopped and turned very well. So he's just broken enough daylight, hasn't he? There's that 1 car length, or well, more than 1 car length when you look at this camera angle, actually. So yeah, Vandoorne now up into a podium position. Da Costa is looking racy behind Roland. Roland now has got less energy than both Da Costa and Frein. So after making that early bit of progress, here comes Da Costa down into turn 2.
Roland's another robust driver to try and overtake, but Da Costa's got it done, and now Freins gets a reasonable drive, but he's not close enough coming into 4. On board with Freins. Now down into turn 5, and Freins sends it. And that is now 6th place for Robin Freins. Roland dropping back a little, and all of a sudden Da Costa is looking strong again and able to pull away a few car lengths after, although Freins has still got more usable energy than Da Costa as well.
And Lotterer's joined this fight now. Look at this, Andre Lotterer right on the back of Oliver Roland. So just when he looked like he was going backwards, suddenly he's found a bit of speed to in this final part of the race.
It shows you just how much time you lose as soon as you start fighting and squabbling, because a driver that was a second back, bam, he's right there in the fight. There's Eduardo Mortara, 2nd place in the race. He's going to be moving up to 2nd in the championship.
Gap to Mortara, 2.4 seconds, steady.
Yeah, they can take a steady because he's got more energy as well. Look at the graphic on the left. So De Vries has had a stellar race, hasn't he? He's got more energy, more speed, and a 2.5 second lead. So it's a win-win-win all round for him.
We're on to the penultimate lap of the E-Prix here. De Vries leading, Mortara second, Van Dorn third. There is Mortara, there is Van Dorn, ahead of Lucas de Grassi in fourth position. Then here comes Da Costa. He's got a little bit less energy than Freins. So Freins is going to try and close in and get back up into fifth place. Started this race second did Robin Freins, dropped to third, then missed attack mode. So fifth place wouldn't be a terrible recovery, especially at a circuit that he's gone so poorly on in the past. And this could be the move into turn one. Nick De Vries is starting his final lap. The reigning champion, with this win, would move himself up, maybe not quite into title contention, but up towards the top 6 in the title fight. Here come Freins and Da Costa. Freins to the outside. Now gets the drive off of turn 1 down towards turn 2. Lotterer is attacking Roland behind. Freins not able to make the move yet, but he's still got more energy than Da Costa. And Roland was able to hold off Andre Lotterer behind. This is where Freins likes to make moves coming into 5. Da Costa knows it, so covers the inside. Freins goes to the outside. This is his last chance coming down into turn 7. He can't quite get alongside. Tries to the dummy, and they make contact down the straight.
Wow, what a save!
And here comes Nick De Vries out of the final corner. The checkered flag is there, and De Vries wins. His second win of the season for Mercedes EQ. Mortara second, moves up into championship contention. Freins did get ahead of Da Costa. Not convinced that one will stand, but De Vries is
I didn't see the checkered flag, mate. I didn't see the checkered flag. You did. It's checkered flag out. Checkered flag out.
Apologies for the language there, but De Vries didn't realise that that was the end of the race and he didn't see the checkered flag. But Mercedes EQ with a 1-3, the top 4 all powered by Mercedes engines. Ian James pointing at the badge. He's been with Mercedes for a long, long time, leaving them at the end of the year when it becomes McLaren. But a great drive from De Vries. Mortara second, Van Dorn third, but it is Nick De Vries who takes the victory after a really, really strong drive, a really comfortable drive, I must say.
Spin and keep the tyres warm. Yeah. Put some temperature in the tyres, just lots of rubber. Lots of rubber.
Nick, it's got a commentary. Great result for you and the team. It looked pretty easy for you there.
Well, it's never easy. We've had a couple of tough races, and I knew that actually nothing was really wrong. So we kept it together and believed one day it would turn around. So thank you. Great job to the team.
4, 8, and 5. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that looked like the Nick De Vries from last year is back. So well done to you and the team.
Positions 3 and 2.
An incredible race here in Berlin. One dominated by Nick De Vries, the reigning champion. He had about a percentage left of energy. He wasn't stressed. He did it his way. And 2 Mercedes sandwiching yesterday's victor, Eduardo Mortara, also with a Mercedes powertrain as well. A very dominant day for the German manufacturer. And a great day for Stoffel Van Dorn, who ekes out his championship lead, having lost ground to Jean-Eric Vergne yesterday. And he will leave Germany a very happy man, as will that man, Nick De Vries. All smiles, the reigning champion back to winning ways. He kicked off his championship defence with a victory in Adiria in round 1 of this 2022 ABB Formula E Championship. And he's managed in round 8 to make it 2 wins so far this season. And that certainly puts him back on track in the championship fight. And Eduardo Mortara as well has had a very, very good weekend. A first and second, 2 pole positions. And for Rocket Venturi, that is a fabulous return for all of their hard work. The Monaco-based team, under the guise of Susie Wolff, doing great things with their 2 drivers. But for the Mercedes factory team, it's fair to say they've been fairly dominant today. Well, Eduardo Mortara soaking up the celebration and the emotion here in Parc Ferme. Well, we're going to hear from our race winner, Nyck de Vries, who's down there with Nicky Shields. Let's hear from the Dutchman.
Nyck de Vries, after what was a rather challenging day yesterday, what a way to turn things around. Huge congratulations. Back to your winning ways. Flawless drive.
Yeah, certainly. We've had a bit of a difficult ride the past 3 races, so honestly, I'm just very, very pleased to be back.
Obviously, it's a bit of an emotional one as well.
Yeah, I've had a shit time the past 3 races, so I'm very, very pleased to come back after a difficult day yesterday, and Albie, my engineer, is always very positive, so that is nice.
You can now breathe and enjoy this moment, because you've got a lot of fans here to support you. And Mercedes EQ. At any point, were you worried about the challenge of the drivers behind you?
Well, of course, Edo has been very strong all weekend, so we definitely had to keep it clean, but the team managed it very well on their side, and I kind of executed, so yeah, very pleased. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight, Nyck de Vries.
Well, an emotional Nyck de Vries. That rounds up the coverage.